to bring to you today a session on how to increase sales and build relationships in a rebounding economy. And just a couple housekeeping things to get us started. This is a 90-minute presentation. We'll send you the recordings after. Do not hesitate to send us questions as we move along. It's a long time to hold your questions. We don't want you to forget. So please navigate over to your questions box on the side panel there. And as Zoya is bringing us through this really valuable information, I will be pointing questions to her as they come in when appropriate. So please put your questions in the questions box. And allow me to introduce BrainSell. We're one of HubSpot's oldest partners. So Zoya, gosh, we incorporated with being a HubSpot partner at least 11 years ago when I started at BrainSell, because I found HubSpot and a big light bulb went on in my house because I was trying to run marketing for this small and growing company. We've grown a lot in those last 10 years. We're based in the Boston area, just north of Boston in the North Shore, with employees and engineers in every time zone. And our mission is really to help companies grow with people, process, and technology. And we specialize in consulting first to make sure we're not just throwing technology in there without a plan, data strategy, and then the implementation of some really key technology that help our customers grow, including HubSpot. So one of our favorite partnerships, love HubSpot and what they offer in 3 different major areas, really 4 now with the CMS. Okay, 5, yeah, we'll take it. And if y'all don't know HubSpot, the name, I'd be surprised, right? They themselves practice inbound marketing so well, in fact, that if you Google just about anything about marketing, you will find a HubSpot blog post or something, ebook on Google. And Zoya's going to give us a view of that today, and also a lot of really great information that's going to help us kind of digest where we are here after COVID, and some great tips from the best. So
perfect. Thank you, Sonia.
Drum roll. And yours. So one little thing here so we're partners with HubSpot. What does that mean? If anyone's interested in HubSpot technology, we've got the team here to give very hand-holding implementation services and adoption and make this silver bullet run. Because it can be a silver bullet if it's back-ended by the right content, which we're going to get into today, but we're here to help with that. Also, integration strategy. Geez, I was just talking to a casino yesterday about integrating their player tracking system to HubSpot.
Worked with a couple of casinos on similar things like that.
No problem for us. So we got our integration expert on there, and we're talking about a strategy to get that player, that high roller information sent into HubSpot so we can send them to concerts and drip market all sorts of valuable stuff to them. So that's it on BrainSell. Everyone, please put your questions in the questions box. I'm going to be interrupting and talking with Zoya as we go through this great content. And thank you, Zoya, for delivering this with us.
Of course. Thank you, BrainSell, for promoting this with us and for joining us in partnership. And we really are all better together. And so I'm very excited to meet all of you on the call today and in follow-up meetings. A little bit of background. Hi, I'm Zoya. I am the lucky Cam at HubSpot that gets to work with BrainSell and their growth strategies that so well align with ours. So it's a really, really great partnership. And I'm also originally from the Boston area. I'm from Newton, Babson, if anybody knows Babson, that's go Beavers. And now I live in Nashua, so I'm up in New Hampshire. I'm actually just about a week or 2 shy of my 3-year anniversary at HubSpot, which, with the year put in there, so it's been like 20 years or so. So I have my degree in marketing, and I've been in sales for 15 years. So I really have that kind of balanced view of just a growth strategy from both sales and marketing perspectives. And I do this travel, and really my main passion is just helping companies to grow and to really understand what are the main things standing in their way and how to best overcome them. And so you would actually mind muting yourself? It's not too much trouble.
Yes.
Thank you. Perfect. So the agenda, so we're going to go through some data in the beginning, and then we're going to break down some of these key components. And I saw so we have some people from marketing, from sales, from service. There's going to be something for everybody here today. We're going to walk away hopefully with a very good, some tactical things that we can start doing right away, as well as just a good foundation of, what it takes to survive in this weird new world that we're still getting to know. And at the very, very end, I did bring cookies. I can't share them with you, so I will be eating cookies, but I do hope that you'll stay and listen to some of the HubSpot solutions at the very, very end, just for a few minutes. So, weird world. So everything, I mean, this year, it's been over a year now that everything shut down and COVID happened, and it's still not over, right? I mean, we're definitely seeing the end of the tunnel, and I just got my second dose, so I'm very excited about that. But it's going to take a long time, really, for people to fully adjust to this new normal, both people and companies. And so with all these changes, what we've been finding is how many companies are struggling to adapt. So with all of you here today, if you're experiencing any challenges and trying to navigate this new world, I hope you know that you're not alone, right? And so looking at pictures like this, right? I mean, it's not too long ago. This was a little over a year ago where we could still be crowded into a theater, right? So a little before and after of how theaters went from being full, right, mosh pits and crowded, general admission, to every other seat being closed, really, distancing that. Same thing with movie theaters, right? Or going to see this, like, Avengers premieres, also now looks a little bit different in this world that we're living in, right? Restaurants, this gives me anxiety looking at it now, right? And then in reality, we're all in our little bubbles here. And is this really better or worse? Who can say? But at the same time, it's giving almost maybe in some cases, a very real sense of safety, just in knowing that companies are taking certain precautions, and in other ways, it could be a false sense of security, right? Like how we learned recently that wiping down everything isn't really helping, but that's giving us that false sense of security. So for all those types of businesses, it could be more straightforward in the, okay, well, yes, come in, we're just going to put up a barrier, right? But then for many other companies, that could be in professional services, law firms, doctors' offices, I mean, manufacturing, construction, you name it, like any other industry, those changes and those adaptations can be much more difficult, bigger undertaking, more stressful, take longer. So what we're looking at is, how everything has needed to change and how quickly and adaptable have companies really been able to keep up with these changes. So even in your own business, right? What have you done in the last year to better support your customers and also your employees, right? I'm a strong believer of employees are one of your number one customers, right? You want to be sure that you're hiring the best talent, retaining the best talent, so you can bring, sell to the best people out there. So, how have you changed in thinking about what that future is going to look like for us? Right, so before COVID, things looked very different. A little bit of before and after here too, where we used to go to networking events, right? There used to be all these different ways to engage with people through networking events, and you go to their office and you fly them in, and you take them out to lunch and you wine and dine them, right? All those ways that were the primary relationship builders, which now, we're not really going to be face-to-face anytime soon in reality, right? Maybe some niche industries can be, but it's going to take time to really rebuild as much of this foundational revenue driving and lead driving as companies really need. Like when all this started, right? All my clients that really relied on trade shows and conferences were at a loss. Or like 90% of our business comes from this one big trade show a year where we meet 100 people, and those 100 people are all going to be clients, right? So I'm sure all of you in some sense have experienced something like that, right? We had Inbound that last year was also canceled, where it was 36,000 people the year before, and we were so excited to have that again, and we had to pivot and go digital. So we're definitely seeing this big shift, and I'm gonna figure out these controls. I'm sorry, push the wrong button, something else. Okay, we're good. So I have some data here that I pulled in, and so the data is going to be half between McKinsey and half between HubSpot. And so there was a really, really fascinating report that McKinsey did in really recognizing the fact that COVID has forced companies to adapt digital strategies at a much more accelerated rate than they would have in other times, right? And so the good news here is that means the world didn't stop like we thought it did, right? My social life definitely died. Business, luckily, hasn't, right? So what this is telling us is that, look at this, the average share of customer interactions that are digital, right, have just gone up so much more in 2020, right? So it's not that they stopped, it's just that in the crisis, customers are looking for different ways to engage with you, right? That's where the Zoom world came out, where, you know, the more people were on Zoom and we had the ability to only come to work half dressed. And, you know, now it's this new way of how can we better service our customers and meet them where they are, because they are spending a lot of their time at home on their couch, you know, hiding from their kids in the bathroom, wherever they may be. But how can we meet them where they are to still provide that excellent customer service and show them that we're going to be that long-term partner? It's going to remain adaptable no matter what. We're always going to be there solving for what they need and helping them, you know, overcome these challenges. So experimentation with and investment in digital technologies have both played a key role in helping companies navigate successfully through this. So what this is telling us is really that it's not an accident that when you're seeing the companies that really did the best in this time period in the last year, they were the ones that had strong digital strategies to begin with, right? So for them, anybody that, yeah, sure, you can go to trade shows, you can, you know, go to networking events, but if you had a strong online presence, you had good social campaigns, you had good, strong email automation and marketing, right? All those ways were just, nothing really changed in the digital space very much, except that more attention was put on it. So the companies that were already digital and, you know, had that infrastructure in place were the ones that weren't as affected and definitely saw a better success overall. So during the crisis, the most successful organizations report a range of technology-related capabilities that others lack, right? So especially, and we're going to be looking at this both from that, you know, small SMB type of perspective as well as up to enterprise, right? So all the way across the board, when we're seeing, you know, that there's going to be bigger companies that were more able to weather the changes, right? So they had that digital strategy, they had more budget, they could take a little bit of a hit. But these things are very, very important in how they're actually supporting this long-term strategy, right? So the ability to fill tech talent gaps during the crisis, right? How now with remote teams, it's difficult to maintain, you know, the source of truth, the teams, the databases, right? More advanced peers in use of digital technology pre-crisis, right? So they had maybe a CRM platform or automation, they had a good, strong website. First movers in experimenting with digital, right? All the delivery services are using Zoom. You know, first sufficient talent, cutting edge and digital analytical techniques, or really understanding what is and isn't working, right? And managing cybersecurity risks. That's another big one, right? All the hacks, all the, you know, people dropping in on Zoom when they weren't expected. So these are really some of the key factors that are showing what it takes to be successful. And this one, so this I found was very interesting, because this is telling us that due to an advantage in product availability, the main reason consumers switched brands, large companies had the highest absolute growth in 2020. So it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, if you think about it from a consumer perspective, right? Small companies without the same risk tolerance were a bit slower to adopt changes at first, right? When a lot of their business went away, they weren't looking to right away invest those dollars into, you know, their CRM platforms, their website, you know, updating their social posts, all that other stuff. They weren't really, they were holding on to every dollar because they didn't know what was going to come after that. So a lot of those small companies lost market share to these larger enterprise companies that were more prepared to take those losses. They could withstand those hits and drop in revenues and still be able to invest more money in pivoting, in reinvesting it in their growth and finding ways to, you know, move in a different direction. So like from our perspective, we have this interesting point of view, because we actually have, so the data we're going to be moving into now is what we've collected in our own benchmark data since COVID started. And so we're seeing that SMBs are actually been outperforming in some of the metrics that we've seen, right? But it really comes down to the SMBs that are using the digital tools and see the value in investing in those, understanding how that's going to help them to, you know, not just continue servicing their customers, but supporting their employees, especially with all the additional stresses that now we're dealing with, right? There's a lot that your employees may be asking from you that they weren't before, right? More flexibility, more time off, you know, they need to go take care of their kids, their parents, whatever it is, right? There's just a lot more drains on all of our resources from any direction, personal and professional, right? So let's take a look at what we saw actually on the HubSpot side. So I'll start out with some good news here, because as you can see down in this graph, so last year sucked. Yeah, people stopped spending, right? I mean, that wasn't a surprise. Those, you know, right around a year ago now, right? April 2020, right after March was really when it started getting worse. Everything shut down, right? We only thought, remember when we thought this was going to be 2 weeks? Fun times. So when we saw that dip, that was where, you know, people stopped investing. They got so nervous that they just completely reeled everything in. So seeing this upward trajectory here where, and 0% is baseline, right? So that just means kind of back to normal. So that's where we saw that big dip. But now it's kind of baseline, and even better, now we're seeing people really reinvesting. So now we're seeing some more investments, people being more engaged in companies, understanding and building for that future. So we're seeing some great conversions there, especially SMBs with 1 to 200 employees are actually outperforming larger companies in their deal creation and close rates, and seeing positive results across most industries now. So again, last year, shitty, and then better since then. And if you see here, so the blue and the kind of whatever the dark blue here is outperforming, right? Those smaller companies are the ones that are really kind of killing it when they're adopting a good digital strategy, right? Same thing for deals created by industry. We saw a lot of dips in the beginning, especially with things like travel and staffing, and now everything is on the rise. So really, as more people are opening up, they're getting more excited about investing and partnering again. However, nothing's perfect yet. So we're seeing more deals created and being closed, which is a good sign that companies are ready to spend money again. But the salespeople in their own practices aren't necessarily, it seems that they're missing the marks in some areas. So we're seeing that salespeople are sending almost twice as many emails as they were pre-COVID, right? And I understand, I'm in sales. I felt that desperation last year of, some of my industries are gone. I don't have anybody to sell to. I'm just going to try and see if anybody's willing to talk to me, right? And there's a little bit of that spaghetti throwing and seeing what sticks. So we're seeing these crazy increases, over 100% from pre-COVID levels increase in more sales emails being sent. We're also seeing a lot of decrease. I mean, this is not far from 50% worse on the open rates here. So what this is telling us, or really suggesting, is that there is a misalignment somewhere in there between the messaging that sales is sending and the audience they're sending it to, right? Because if we're sending the right messaging to the right audience, those open rates should be higher. So whether it's on the empathy or through just better targeting and building those relationships, this could definitely be improved from the sales perspective, right? Send fewer emails to the best people and you're going to be getting better conversions.
Well, and sorry, isn't it? I mean, I guess I'll state the obvious, but it's worth noting that it seems like email is what most businesses were like, okay, this is what we can do to market. Now let's just let's email everyone. It just seems like, right, aren't there what other tools do we have when we're all at home? Like this is very interesting. And then it seems like the blue line is like the receiving end, right? Of the person that's getting a million emails and saying, oh God, no, I'm just done with emails, right?
Too much.
All over. So everyone's emailing everyone and it's not working because people aren't opening the emails.
I find it amazing that you said to market to people, because this selling. So actually, to your point, Sonia, thank you for that great transition. Marketing has been doing much better than sales on that front. So on the sales side, and we'll be talking through some of those other tactics and, building those relationships and using video is a great way to engage. And we actually saw, like, in the beginning, calls dropped off way too much because you can't call people at the office, at home. It's, not necessarily screaming babies and dogs and all the things. So phone calls definitely were a little bit harder. But emails, videos, right, finding those other ways to engage on social. We're going to talk about, the other conversion points. But Sonia, back to your point about marketing, they actually did good, right? I mean, there was a lot put on our marketers last year, right? It was up to you. Thank you, all of you, for taking on that responsibility and understanding it. You're now the voice of the customer. You're now the ones that were setting the expectations of, what is changing in your business, how you're supporting your customers, what does that future look like, what does that communication look like, right? So that's all coming from you marketers. So when we're seeing so much more communication, and still, 40% more above average, but the open rates were also higher, right? So we saw an increase in marketing and an increase in conversion rates. So looking at the two, where sales was very much the opposite from marketing, right? Marketing seems to have a much better grasp on who their customers are, right? What they're looking at. So it's signaling a little bit of misalignment there between what you could be communicating between your teams. And what's interesting here is that, again, we're seeing with small business, right? Email sends in small companies way higher than our even mid and enterprise companies, right? So way higher, 70% above average. So definitely understanding, having that good relationship with your customers, understanding who they are, if your marketing teams, if you're seeing better conversions and on sales, join forces, see what you can do to really learn from each other and better hone in on that, target account strategy. Website traffic, to the surprise of nobody, has increased dramatically in the last year, because where else are we going to go? Right, we're all home, so we're seeing, and it's probably not going to stop. I mean, it's a very, very important thing that as people are really relying more on digital strategies and presences, like your website should always be one of your main, it's one of your main salespeople, right? That's your first impression, your welcome mat. That's such an important part of your business. So you want to make sure that you're dusting the cobwebs off, clearing off the dust. If you have like a physical location and you don't change the office plants, or you don't dust it, once every 2 years, like how some people update their websites, that could feel like it's a dusty site that isn't optimized for conversion. So you really want to be sure that you're consistently optimizing your website for conversions. We'll be talking more about that later as well. And again, small businesses saw the biggest increase in online traffic, right? You're probably the ones that could have in the beginning weren't as invested in your websites, right? Really focused more on that personal interactions. But guess what? When personal interactions went away, your customers needed you even more. Where do they turn? To your websites, right? So having that good engagement, good presence on your website is very important. We also saw some interesting stats for all of our support people on the line. And also actually to Sonia's other point too of, what are some other ways to engage with your customers and prospects? Conversations have been so much more leveraged in COVID world than they were previously. And I talked to maybe, I don't know, 1 to 5 people a week, sometimes a day, that do the whole, oh no, we don't do bots, we don't do chat bots, we don't do live chat, for whatever personal biases that they have against it. Because I understand, yeah, when you have a bad automation strategy that is going to be very generic, then that's going to feel like a generic automation strategy. A lot of what we're doing is personal touch, right? And this is really solving, and this is proving that your customers want to engage with you. They have questions, they need your help. They may not be able to call, they may not be able to email. They could have a very quick question that, to fill out a form and wait 2 days for a response, I just had a quick question. There could be a much easier way to get that solved. So we are seeing more increases, 20%, almost 25% above average, in engaging with those live chat and chat bots. And we're also seeing a lot more, and by company size especially, right? This graph showing small teams that personal touch, yes, is going to be much more important. And guess what? Small teams that aren't there 24/7 and may have difficulties in responding to client requests whenever they come in are especially benefiting from the live chat and chat bots, because that's where, it's doubling, tripling, quadrupling the size of your team by helping everybody within a matter of, minutes instead of hours or days. Support tickets also on the rise, right? More people remote, more people having help. They want to help themselves, right? They don't want to go jump through hoops to get answers. So really seeing more engagement. And again, small companies, really one of the bigger ones that we're seeing those conversions from. So all that's to say, and to kind of loop it back with a little bit more McKinsey data, is the largest shifts during this crisis are going to be the most likely to stick throughout the recovery and beyond, right? Especially changing customer needs or expectations, right? Setting good customer expectations so that you're able to meet them, able to perform, right? Maybe, 24 or a year ago, you could have delivered something in 24 hours. Now it could take 2 weeks, and it has absolutely nothing to do with you. It's just because, the mailing USPS is so slow, right? Things like that. You can't really directly impact other than setting proper expectations with your customers. Right, increasing remote work and collaboration. Right now, people are realizing, hey, we can be productive remote. I don't have to spend 5 times as much to live in the city. I can live anywhere in the country and, live my own best life and still do great work for my company. Right, so having those remote work and collaboration tools are going to be more and more important, especially if you want to get great talent. Right, the best people to hire aren't necessarily going to be in your backyard. Right, you may have to go to the other side of the country to get somebody that's going to be really a great fit for the organization, and a good representative of more diverse sort of groups of people as well. So anything like that, where it's not going to go away, right? We're only going to be doubling and tripling down on a lot of this as we go, right? Moving more to the cloud, increasing customer demand for online purchase and services, right? This is going to be a big one. Having that solid online presence, more data security is going to be important. So technology, everything on here, right? None of this should really come as a surprise that these are going to be more important factors in continuing success as we grow and as we keep going. So yes, we can't necessarily go to trade shows right now or concerts or movies other than drive-in, but how can we build relationships? Online, right? You have your chatbots, your live chat, your social media, your blogs, your email campaigns, your marketing and sales conferences, your webinars. Hey, guess what? You're getting inbounded right now. This is all new ways that we have to pivot, but it's great because just because our customers may not necessarily be eager to walk in your door and shake your hand, it doesn't mean that they don't still want your help, right? So if you can demonstrate, we are a resilient company, we care for our customers, we will solve for your needs, we're going to show you how quickly we can adapt and how quickly we can, change our ways to better support you and our customers and our employees, right? That kind of messaging and that kind of adaptability will help you to grow a lot faster. You're going to earn more customers, you're going to keep your existing customers, which is going to be really important, not lose them to larger organizations. You're going to earn more business. So it's a really important way to show how much you care about those people, right? So I'm sure a lot of us know ABC, right? Always be closing. Cookies are for closers and cookies are for people who stay with me till the end. But forget ABC, right? It's dead. Really, SFTC is the way forward. And this is something that I'm very happy that HubSpot is one of our biggest tenets and core rules. SFTC, solve for the customer. So the more that we can solve for the customer, the more that wins business, right? Solve for your customer and you'll naturally win more. And so we're going to be breaking down some ways that we're going to be solving for the customer from your marketing perspective, from your sales, and from service as well. So what's next, right? World is opening up. What are you going to do? How much have you really thought about this, right? How often are you updating your website, and is it optimized for conversions, right? Are you may be ready to open your doors and say, yes, please come in, come in, come in. I'm not ready to come in, right? Me as your customer, I don't want to come to your office, right? I want to stay right here. Maybe I still got kids at home, whatever's going on. I'm not ready to go there, right? So thinking about what does that hybrid model look like for you, right? How do you engage with your social channels? Do you actually know your customers, right? A lot of them have changed. We're going to talk about how those personas have changed too. How are you planning to reopen, right? What is that hybrid strategy? And again, both for your employees, right? What does that hybrid future of work look like? Are you full-time remote, in the office, right? Dedicating resources to continue staying adaptable. How are your competitors doing, right? Is there any opportunity there that they're leaving, or are you falling behind in some areas? And really, what do your customers think of you? How much are you listening to what they're saying? And not just saying to you, but saying about you to others online. Right? How much are you listening to that feedback that doesn't come directly in your face? So how does inbound fit into all this? So inbound 101, for those of us that are in the maybe know it a little bit or don't really know it at all, just a couple of recaps here. So inbound marketing is a business methodology that attracts customers by creating valuable content and experiences tailored to them. Inbound selling is a sales methodology that prioritizes the needs, challenges, goals, and interests of individual buyers. And the key to finding success is in working together, that alignment, to understand and help your customers' prospects make informed decisions, right? Solving for the customer. So all this very, very customer-centric. Your marketing should be all around, how can I help you make progress on your journey? You're trying to learn about how to solve your problems. How can I help you? Sales is all about same thing. How can I help you make progress on your journey? You're trying to solve your problems. How can I help you? How can I teach you about your own, issues and challenges, right? And everything's going to be solving for their needs. So being more inbound really just means transforming your marketing strategies into educational strategies and turning your sales process into a valuable service, right? So we're not just selling things, we're helping people, right? Sales and helping is shelving. So that's where we really want to be guiding them in their processes. So while, yes, I did just say, don't just ask them directly and actually listen online, but do also ask them directly, right? Feedback comes in two forms. You have your passive feedback, which is your reviews and your, people commenting and talking behind your back, right? Hopefully they're saying good things behind your back, right? And then you have the requested feedback. This is what I'm going to tell you directly about what I think about you, what I like about you, what I don't like about you, right? So when we're starting all these foundational things, we want to have that conversation with our customers, because we can't just guess. And oftentimes when we are guessing or when we are making assumptions, that's where we're wrong, right? It's very hard for marketers, especially when you're in this day in and day out, to take yourself out and to be unbiased for a minute and to look at a website for the first time when you look at it every day, right? It's going to be very hard. So what I recommend you do is like ask, I don't care if it's your mom, your husband, your wife, your kids, ask them, go to your website and see, hey, how hard is it for you to figure out what we do, who we help, and to call us or to book a meeting with us, right? Just put a guinea pig on your site and say, hey, yeah, let me just see how you engage with our site, right? Or use heat mapping tools to see how hard is it to find a way for them to reach out, to ask a question, to identify what your value proposition is, right? So ask your customers, what brought you? How do we earn your business? Thank you for your business, right? But how did we win your trust here? What brought you to us? How do you feel that we engage with you? Are you satisfied with how we engage with you? And do you feel happy enough to recommend us to your friends? Right? So understanding some of those core foundational things will help you to get a better understanding around, are you targeting the right people, and are you really following through on what you are supposed to be helping them with? So Inbound 101, that's going to be the marketing section. We're going to go into sales from here. So this is a very, very old slide, but it's still relevant because traditional marketing is broken and it's just breaking down more and more and more, right? Especially with COVID, right? Think about how much that's changed, even a whole new level, where billboards still used to have some impact and Times Square is now mostly empty, right? Think about the millions and millions of dollars of empty marketing space there for Times Square, right? Empty, it's not working. Right? Stores are closed. Your office is closed. Your brochures aren't being sent. I live in an apartment and I get probably about once or twice a month lawn care or garden, like something in my mailer in my inbox. I'm like, I live in an apartment. I should not be receiving anything about lawn care. I don't manage the lawn here, right? That is a terrible waste of marketing. How much are they spending on printing and shipping and mailing those cards, which they're sending? There's a few thousand people here, right? They just lost all that money because they didn't do the right targeting. So all that traditional marketing it doesn't work very well anymore, right? Anything that I wasn't expecting to receive, anything that's disruptive is gonna turn most of your customers off, right? Now that we are so inundated, we're so overwhelmed, we get 4,000 to 10,000 advertisements a day, 4,000 to 10,000 advertisements from our, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Google, on TV, and the radio. It doesn't stop. We're always being marketed to. Don't be one of those people that's just bugging people, right? So it's not, you can't just go out there and say, hey, can I sell you my product, right? That traditional way of thinking about your funnel of marketing is really in charge of generating all the buzz, and we want to get as many people as we can, and then some of them are going to trickle down to sales once they've been qualified, right? So it's really broken because especially customers, they're not an afterthought, right? It's also not the end of their journey. And that's really what the biggest thing that this ye old funnel here forgets about, is that customers are the beginning of our journey in many ways, right? So if you're doing an effective growth strategy, and the flywheel, right, is sort of the way that we visualize this, because what do flywheels do, right? They store energy. So no matter where you put a little bit of, you add value, add energy, you're going to spin that wheel, you're going to grow faster. And the most important thing this takes into consideration is that your customers are on this circular journey, right? They start as strangers, turn to prospects, but then your customers become your best promoters and help you then attract more strangers, right? So a lot of this happens also in the during and post sale, right? And one of the biggest mistakes that I see so many clients make is they still believe that they bought, that's the end of their journey. We don't have to keep helping these people. They already bought from us, right? So we should be solving for the prospects, not for our customers. No, it's the other way around, right? You really want to be solving for the customers, because your customers are going to bring in those prospects. They're going to talk about you online. They're going to be telling their friends and colleagues about how much they love your products or services, right? The more that you're giving them tools to use and better services to engage with and solving more and more and more and more of their problems as you're getting to know them over the years, the more business they're going to send you, right? So after the sale, right, your site should be where's your help center? Where's the support area where I can get answers to my questions? How can I understand your additional services? What does your cross-sell, upsell strategies look like? Right? All those things that once somebody's a customer, they just walked in your door. Now they're yours to engage with. If you can do it right, you can extract a lot more value.
And so everyone uses the stat, it's 7 times less expensive to keep a customer than to land a new one, right?
Yes, great point. Yes. Yeah. So keeping those customers, right? That's also going to help you to drive down your cost of acquisition, right? You're really investing in your customers. You're driving up your NPS. You're getting that word of mouth, right? Nothing generates buzz like user-generated content. I can talk about how I am all the time. You won't care unless Sonia tells you. You trust Sonia. You don't know me, right?
And the referral, so another good stat we have on some BrainSell marketing stats, referral sourced opportunities are by far our highest close ratio than anything else that we do. If it comes from someone that they trust, the likelihood of close, I think we're at like 70% or something.
Yeah, like that's a really great point.
And so everything goes into this model. It makes so much sense.
If you look like me and you act like me and you have the same problems as me and you give me a potential solution, I'm going to trust somebody like me a lot more than just the CEO or your salesperson that I know is going to be biased, right? And so we kind of jumping ahead a little bit here, but this is the first webinar in part of a series that we're doing with BrainSell. And so one of the next sessions that we'll be doing, I think it's not the next one, the one after that, I think, we'll check at the end. But we are going to do a deep dive on selling the way people buy and really digging into more of that sales component of, qualification and the post sale. So there will be a lot more to dig into there when you join us next time. And there will be more on the marketing. So the next one will be more marketing focused. So the best thing about inbounding, yes, it is much cheaper to keep the business you have and to retain that business and to have that business just reinvest in yourself, reinvest in your customers. They will be that anchor and attractor for you. And the great thing about this inbound, right, is we're putting our customers at the heart of our business, right? Solving for the customer. So inbound is very empathetic by nature, and that's why it has higher conversions, right? Whether it's from a referral or I found your sales content online or marketing content, right? But think about it this way. Remember shopping malls? You can think back that far. So back in the day when you used to walk through a shopping mall, maybe this is done now because COVID, but I remember walking through and I would be going to like Best Buy, for example. And as I'm walking through, I have the people that, oh, can I curl your hair? I have this thing. Or, hey, let me try this, Dead Sea. It's going to make your hand soft as a baby's butt, right? All those things that they're trying to grab you as you're walking by. So buyers don't want to be prospected, demoed, or closed in your sales process. That's exactly what that is. You have a sales process. Right? It is your job to stand there and to sell to people as they walk by. But just because they're walking by doesn't mean that that's when the sales process begins, right? What they really want and need is to be educated, supported, and guiding through their buying process. So if I walk past, if I make it through the jungle of all the, hand washers and the hair curlers, and I make it to Best Buy, and then at Best Buy, I'm looking at the wall of TVs, and I ask, the first person in blue that walks by, hey, what's the difference between Samsung and LG? That is when, yes, please help me. I need help. I don't know. I maybe did research. I'm looking at them. They both look great in person. What is 4K versus 5K? Like, is there really a difference? Right? So that's what they want and that's what they need is really to be guided through that buying process. That's the inbound way. So the trick for these inbound marketers is figuring out the best kind of content each buyer persona needs and where and when to deliver it for maximum engagement, right? And that's where you want to really focus on how can I add value? How can I add value? How can I add value before I can extract value, right? You give and then you can get. Always give, then you can get. So when you're developing this inbound strategy, the core questions to consider is first, who's your customer, what do they care about, and how and why do they want to work with you? And then from there, you take that and you build your buyer personas and you develop your buyer-centric content and promotion strategy. And then the most important thing is you make it easy for them to work with you by enabling them to connect with you on their terms, right? We're enabling our buyers, we're supporting our buyers, we're helping our buyers to learn how to buy from us and to learn the right way to sell our products internally and services and all those things. So let's break it down to some more definitions. So buyer personas. Buyer personas are semi-fictional, generalized human representations of your ideal customers. So you may be familiar, and target market, that used to be back when I went to grad school, which was really only 7 years ago, and I wasn't taught inbound, which is very disappointing. I had to learn that at HubSpot. But it makes sense because, right, we were told, like, target market, here's your, we're going after mid-sized companies that work in technology in California with under 500 employees. Cool. But that doesn't really help us to make connections with people, right? I mean, I'm not selling to the company. I'm selling to the marketing manager, the sales manager. I'm solving the people's problems. The company has problems because the people within it have problems, right? And those people are going to be the ones that you're really focusing on. So those are your buyer personas. Those are specific sorts of people within that target market. So we have our mid-sized tech companies, but we're working with the CTOs or the CMOs or whoever within those companies, right? And the challenges that they specifically have. So you start with that broader one, and then you kind of narrow it down from there. So why do we create buyer personas? And not just because this GIF is adorable, but it really helps us to create that targeted content, right? It helps us to understand who our buyers are, what they're dealing with. We're making sure we're attracting the right people to our website. We're creating the content and we're helping them solve their problems and challenges, right? And then the more of the right people we attract, the more of the right content, guess what? It's going to help increase our conversions, right? So think back to the beginning with that, the sales graph that we saw, when they're sending tons and tons of emails and not seeing the right conversions and open rates. It's probably because they weren't really sending the right content to the right people, right? So that's where we need to make sure that we're honing in. And especially because a lot has changed. So if you have done persona exercises in the past, if you did them last year, or if you did them more than a year ago, do them again. If you did them last year, do them again. And you might have to keep doing them bit by bit as the world continues changing, right? There's so many things that are flipped on their head and completely, topsy-turvy. So demographics, right? Even an easy one. Used to live in or near the city, now could live anywhere, right? I could be in Hawaii right now. I'm not. I wish I was. I'm not. They were paying people last year to move out there and work from there. I really wish I took them up on that offer, but I didn't. So, I'm reevaluating my life choices. But as we're looking through, the role, right? Used to be just a support manager, wife, mother, now also a teacher, because now her kids are at home, right? LinkedIn, Facebook, right? Also spending a lot of time hiding out on the couch, kitchen, bathroom, wherever you can get some peace and quiet. So all these things are a little bit different, right? Used to be just a regular support professional with regular support professional problems. I'm tired of people yelling at me, right? I need better ways to support and better resources, right? Now it's changed. Because in addition to all that, now Carly here has tons of additional pressure to work from home, feed the family, teach the kids, and do all that within 24 hours, and maybe also bathe sometimes. Maybe sleep. I don't know. 24 hours is never enough time, if you ask me. Teams are now working from home, which means more silos, right? You used to be just in different platforms, but you could still walk across the office and ask a question. Now that everybody's remote and you're still working in those silos and you can't walk across the hall, and maybe your programmers work at 2 a.m. and you're working at 8 a.m. and so you're never on the same time zone or talk track or anything. So there's problems that are just building up and they're getting so blown out of proportion before you even realize that, right? Before somebody notices that problem started over there and we're having the same problem, and now, hey, that problem is across the whole company and we didn't know because we're not communicating. Right? She wants to re-engage with her team, but she now has anxiety around being around people. So that's not helping, right? And access to the remote customer support on top of all this other stuff, the one that's job related here is, because she can't access customer records, right? They were very paper focused or, weren't really cloud based. So now her performance is going down because her customers aren't satisfied. She's not able to really report on them, right? And that's hurting her chances of promotion. So all these new things that weren't an issue last year, let alone the year before that, right? So definitely go back and rethink those buyer personas, because now the goals have completely changed, right? So now she wants to feel safe and re-engaging with friends and family, needs to master remote teamwork and hire more diverse candidates from all over the country, right? Wants to find a better way to manage her time between, working and a personal life and being a, mother, teacher, wife, all those other things. And also just a woman that just wants to have some time for herself, maybe. and the ability to work from home part-time and still get promoted, right? So those lack of tools and support, she feels unsupported by her company, right? So go back through those personas and put yourself in their shoes. Think of your own, take yourself out of your marketing shoes and put yourself into your mom's shoes, your dad's shoes, your just human shoes, and think about what's changed for you. How have you been thinking differently? And how do you wish that your companies or the people that you work with that help you, how would you wish that they, recognize that? Or what do you want them to change? Right? So think about that also, trying to put yourself in your customer shoes that way. So once we've updated the buyer personas, right, the next part is, what do they care about? So again, this could be changing and is always changing, but essentially the what do they care about portion is the buyer's journey. So they're on a path, right? They're feeling symptoms of a problem, getting to know it a little bit better, and then trying to find ways to solve it. So it's your job to really facilitate their progress through this journey with buyer-centric content. So you're not there to sell, right? And really sales, I think like selling is so the end of what we're doing. That is so far out. Like there's so much helping and teaching and guiding and consulting that happens before you can ask somebody for their money. Like that is the last thing. So many people start selling to you the second that you show interest. No, don't do that. Really get to know them, understand what they need, and then sell to them once you're sure that they're a good fit for you. So we'll come back around to that too. So shopping. So what's a buyer's journey? It's that active process a buyer goes through leading up to a purchase. So it's in these three core stages: awareness, consideration, decision, right? So awareness stage is where your prospect is experiencing some symptoms of a problem, right? So if we take the Carly example, right, she's falling behind at work, she's not sleeping, she's stressed, right, she's sleeping an hour a night, her brain isn't really with her anymore, her company isn't retaining customers, they're having to let people go, which is only putting more and more work on her shoulders. Right, so now she's just feeling all this stress and just unhappiness and all these other problems, right? So then the next phase is that consideration of, okay, I understand that this is a symptom of the fact that we don't have really good processes in place, right? We tried to make what we were doing in the office work remotely, and it's just not going to work. So now it's up to her to really, define what that problem is, right? We don't have the right tools. We, need to have better communication with the team, more alignment, right? Resetting those values, and then solving and researching all the different ways to solve for that, right? What are the options, right? I need to communicate better, or I need a CRM, what part of my job can I automate to make my job easier, to free up some time so that I can spend time with my family, right? What are those options that she can look at? And then from there, great. I decided on a solution. How do I get started? So like say, hey, we don't have a place to work. Hey, HubSpot, sounds like a great CRM with an all-in-one, right? We'll come back around to that later too. But essentially it's that, I now understand what my problem is. I understand a few different ways to solve it, right? I can hire more people. I can outsource some of this. I can invest in automation technology, right? So all those different things that she can consider. And then once she's decided, you know what? No, investing in automation technology is going to be cheaper than hiring another person, because I don't have to pay for health insurance for the tech stack. I don't have to pay for their sick leave, whatever. I'm investing in the software that's going to help all of my employees to work more efficiently, right? So as you're thinking of your content strategy, make sure you have content that aligns for each of these stages, right? You've heard of BOFU and TOFU, right? Your top of the funnel, bottom of the funnel offer, right? That kind of aligns here with that, right? When I'm in the awareness stage, that's not, so like just HubSpot example, right? If somebody's going through that, COVID Carly, she's going through, she's feeling those symptoms, just because she realized that, that she doesn't have time, she's stressed out, she's losing her chances at promotion. The second she realized that I'm not selling her HubSpot at that time, right? I am not even close to selling her anything, and our content isn't either, right? The content is going to be more like, okay, so we need to say you're not alone. These are the symptoms. If you know that like you're at capacity, here's how to know when it's time to move from email marketing to marketing automation. Tune in next time. So all those things of how we can better help them to diagnose that problem. Right, and then the consideration, here's how our services differentiate from our your problems, right? And then the decision is, yeah, so here is, if you choose us, here's how we compare, right? So that is where you, the marketers here, should be tailoring your content. And you should have lots of options for, what's going to be that awareness stage. And the best part is, guess what? They shouldn't be leading to the other, right? There should be that flow of, at the bottom of your, awareness stage blog, where's the CTA for the consideration stage blog? Okay, now we understand what your problem is. Here's some potential solutions. Okay, now we understand some potential solutions. Click here to read about, potential partnering opportunities with us, right? So that is where the marketers are really spending that energy. So how do you get their attention? A key component in developing buyer personas is understanding their online behavior so you can effectively plant your content along their natural path, right? So we're not disrupting them. We're not grabbing their arm when we're walking by in the mall. We're not, doing the paid ads, just trying to get it. We're not doing the TV commercials, right? We're really trying to understand, what questions are they asking? What are you complaining about, right? What are your problems? Tell me, unload. This is therapy time. How do you feel about that, right? Where do you live online? And really learn to speak their language, right? And that's a really big one. Like, for example, for me, because we work with so many different industries, right? So if I'm working with like a doctor's office versus a law office versus e-commerce, right? Even just the platform is the same. The applications are going to be different. But when I'm talking to the doctor versus the lawyer versus the salesperson, how I talk about like our sales hub has to be different, right? So it's patients versus clients versus customers, right? What is their known universe? What language do they use to describe themselves, their customers, their area of expertise, right? So even things like that, where I can immediately lose trust if I accidentally say patient to an e-commerce customer, because they're going to think that I'm crazy talking about patients, right? So understanding, it's like, no, I understand you. I've worked with other people like you. I know the challenges you have, and here's how we can help you solve them. So I like this analogy. Think of inbound like farming. It takes time to get to know your space. You don't know what's going to get the most sun right away, right? You don't know where the bugs and the critters are going to eat your harvest, right? Where the most competition is. You don't know what plants are going to grow best in your area, right? What kind of soil or the weather components, right? What is really going to be the best solution for your space? But take the time to get to know the land, right? Talk to your customers, do some surveys, understand the foundations that you're building on, and then plant your seeds, right? The relationships, the conversations, the content, and then you wait, right? The difference between, and we're going to be building more on that, is one of the biggest differences between inbound and outbound. So like outbound being like paid advertising, right? PPC, immediate investment, immediate return. It's not going to be the same with inbound, right? Inbound is going to take some time. However, the harvest will be more plentiful and it'll keep you sustained for years to come, right? You plant it now, it's going to keep growing. And that's one of the biggest things. Like, so another, I know I'm throwing a lot of analogies here at you, but like paid advertising is like fueling a car without an engine, right? You always have to keep putting dollars in it. You're really renting that traffic. Whereas inbound is the engine, right? So it is going to be the thing that's driving a lot of that growth. So there's definitely benefits in leveraging both inbound and outbound in unison, so that you're building one against the other, solving for the short term, preparing for the long term. But really, you do have to understand, and I like setting the expectation that it is going to take patience, and it's 100% worth it, because basically what you're investing now is going to keep reaping benefits over time. So how does that work, right? Your buyers are online. They're researching online, right? They're researching your competitors. They're researching your offerings, so many things. So as much as they're online, right? How much are you getting to know them? How much are you learning the lay of the land? How much are you learning where the bugs and the critters are to avoid, right? Understanding your competitive space, understanding your customers, right? And not just online, but on social media too. If they're on your social channels, are you on theirs? Are you going to look at your, client companies? Are you going to see the what are they called? Conversation boards, or what are they called? You know what I mean? Where people like community boards and things like that, where they're sharing ideas and they're asking questions. What are those challenges that people are having? Is there anything that you don't know? Is there anything you can, extrapolate or listen more for? Right? So if they're looking at you, you should be looking at them. And the more that you understand who they are, what they need, the more you can solve for their issues. And a key part of all of this, right? And I kind of hinted at this a little bit earlier, is that the sale is so far away, Like the sale is really the end. I mean, their becoming a customer isn't the end, but the sale is one of the last things you really should be doing, you know, in a sales process, because then the account management process. I'm not saying you just stop and go away after the sale. It's not what I'm saying. But what you do want to do is make sure that you're connecting with them early as possible in their buyer's journey, right? You want to connect with your buyers long before they get to the decision stage. So that's again where marketers and salespeople really need to talk to each other and understand, hey, here's what I'm hearing on the phone. Here's the questions people are asking. Here's the resources they're asking for. I don't have something to send them to teach them about it, right? So, you know, marketing team, can you please build this out for me? Sure, yes, we will build out this campaign. We'll help you, right? I know that when there's no alignment is where you really feel the eye roll of, like, you know, salespeople saying, why is marketing sending us these leads, right? The chili peppers and Salesforce, remember we had those at TripAdvisor. It's like, oh, 5 chili peppers. I'm like, no, it ain't. It's a 2-bedroom B&B in Texas. This is not gonna help me hit my quota. So I'm happy that, you know, marketing team sees that they're charging $500 a night or $600 a night. And they're like, this is a 5 chili pepper rating. It was not. 2 rooms is not a 5 chili pepper rating, right? So that is very core misalignment between marketing and sales. So things like that, where make sure that you're asking your salespeople for feedback. What are you hearing? What can we do for you? Who are you selling to? What are the challenges? What are our customers asking for that we're not providing? Is there an opportunity for us to expand our services, right? So all sorts of things we can learn by just listening. So some examples of inbound marketing tactics: blogging, social media, webinars, ebooks, email marketing, marketing automation, video content. The opportunities are endless. Guess what? This is also inbound. You're on a webinar. Surprise, you're getting inbound. So blogging is especially important. I do want to spend some time talking about blogging. Blogging is going to be one of the key drivers of your growth, your content strategy, your SEO. It is one of the best places to invest your marketing dollars. And this is really, like, when I'm talking about planting seeds, this is one of the best seeds that you can plant. This is an evergreen seed. Blogs are evergreen. They never stop working for you. In fact, some of HubSpot's oldest blogs are still generating some of the most traffic that we get to our site, right? Because the more, the older that content is, the more that it gets backlinks, right? It's building authority over time, right? All the different ways that it really helps to boost the performance of the whole site over time. And so in one of our next sessions, when we're really going to be digging into a little bit more about pillar cluster models and improving your marketing strategies, so there will be more to come in the future. But especially with you know, ads, AdWord, paid campaigns, paid social, anything else with that limited lifespan. So it's very, like I mentioned, it's short-term results are going to be great, right? You put in $1, you get $1 back. But you need to consistently invest, or as soon as the faucet is turned off, then so are the leads, right? The blogging really solves for that. Those are your seeds that you plant them now. And yeah, maybe for the first week, you're not going to get much traffic unless you're doing your social campaigns, you're pushing that out. But then guess what? You know, you keep that blog out there, you're writing more content, you're building out that strategy. Maybe that blog was about, you know, for awareness stage, and then we're building out more content for consideration, decision. We're really teaching our customers more, engaging with them more in these other ways. Now that is already there. So now guess what? The people are coming in a month, 2 months, 5 months, 5 years from now, they can still benefit from that, right? We want to update it over time to make sure that it continues being relevant, especially after, you know, maybe, I don't know, pandemic things happen. So definitely make sure that your content is still fresh and still you know, really hits those same notes that it did originally. But that is always going to be a better investment of your time and money and energy than just doing, you know, SEO without context. When you're just doing the paid ads and AdWords, it's just fueling a car without an engine. So we'll draw down your cost of acquisition over time. And especially it helps you to add, again, that's one of the biggest areas where you're adding value before you're extracting value, right? Not just your one pages and all the other things, but you're really teaching and guiding. So it's no surprise that we see, you know, companies that blog receive 55% more web traffic than companies who don't. This is probably a little outdated at this point. And the companies that blog receive 67% more leads than companies who don't, right? There's a lot more stats I have in one of my other decks of, you know, how long tail keywords, especially in Google and social shares, that it's the longer content that really gets the most shares. So that's what that's what people want, right? I mean, a cat meme is gonna, I see 1 million a day, it's gonna pop up and go away, but content that resonates and really helps me to learn something new about myself, about my situation, about potential solutions, right? That's going to stick, and it's going to be much more shared. So the experience that you really want to provide with all this marketing is you want to give a name to the problem that I didn't know I had, right? Like, hey, I'm stressed, I'm pulling out my hair, I'm not sleeping. It's like, oh, did you know that's the symptom of not having automation or a good platform you can lean on? It's like, oh, I'm not alone. Good to know, right? You feel better knowing that there's a solution, that other people have gone through this. So a few tips for your blogging strategies. So you really want to, think about a topic that you want to own, and then you position yourself as a thought leader on that particular topic, and then you kind of write about the related, you pick a subject you want to focus on, you want to be a thought leader on that subject, and then you write about all the related topics. So for example, right, in technology recycling, right, awareness is, hey, we're spending too much money on our technology costs, so we need to find ways to save money there. We're looking at, do we recycle or do we just, throw them away, or what are we doing? And then really the decision stage being, how do I know who to partner with? What do I need? All right, so when you're building out your blogs, think about what your customers are searching. Because one of the things that we're not just putting in keywords anymore. I still talk to way too many people that just say, oh yeah, we do keywords. Great. What keywords? Like, you need context, you need storytelling, right? Keywords without context are nothing. So I'm not going to Google, and think about your own, right? Whether you're using your Alexas or your Googles or your, search, whatever, are you typing in, restaurants? That's it. I'm not just typing in restaurants. I'm not even just typing in restaurants Boston. Typing in, what is the best restaurant in Boston that's open now? Right? Things like that. We're having conversations with our devices. We're asking questions where, I can yell and have any one of my 5 robots answer and try to, give me a resource. So when you're thinking about what that search strategy is like, try to have, like, if you really understand who your personas are and what where in their journey they're at, and if your content is going to be aligned with that, try and have your blog actually answer a question in the headline, like in the title. Right? How do I know this is working? Here's top 5 ways to know your strategy is working, right? That's how you're getting those. And Google loves numbered things. Like, if those little snippets that you get in Google, they love that. Top 50 ways to do this, top 20 ways to do that, the ultimate guide, anything that they can basically like consolidate into one very complete resource, they're going to put you at the top over lots of other competition. So that is where you can really build that out. So one of the other things that I see that in companies who do blog, but aren't maybe getting the results that they want to, or aren't seeing the results that they expect that they would, it's typically because they're not using the ARC method, or they're missing some component of it. So of course, in the beginning, write a line. We want to first say, I hear you, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect. I see you. I understand you, right? Does this sound like you? Are you a stressed out marketing manager in Southern California with no free time? Right? It's that kind of experience of, wow, this immediately draws me in, right? And then you reveal part of the solution. So here's how other people like you have solved this. And the most important thing that people typically miss, and what I see when I'm doing website audits, is there's no convincing call to action, right? So when you're doing your blogging strategy, 1000% of the time, you should have a content offer at the bottom, always. Throughout the rest of the blog, you have your inline CTAs as well, right? So you have a hyperlink here, a click here for a related blog post, right? But you always, 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 at the end especially, want to have that, here's a guide, an ebook, a webinar, right? That's really how you're going to collect their information, right? Give and get. I'm going to give you an ebook. All I'm going to ask you in return is your job title, your location, your phone number, your email address. That's it. I just want to know what state you're in. How can I best help you? And what am I going to do with that information? I'm going to learn about, Nancy in Florida that works with tech companies, and she's a marketing manager. So I'm going to say, hey, great, Nancy, here's all the great stuff that marketing managers just like you find valuable. And I'm going to send her more relevant content until, guess what? Then there's an event, right? Now I'm asking 10 questions in a form, different from the ones I'd asked before. But now, because this is a 90-minute webinar, maybe we're going to ask some more questions, because there's going to be a lot of value we're going to give you, and we're going to want to collect some so we can help you more afterwards, right? And send you more targeted content. So always, always, always make sure you have your inline CTAs throughout, right? And those are bolded and blue and underlined, but you also have your convincing content offer. Here's the next step. Take me by the hand, allow me to guide you and show you where to go, right? You want your website to do that. That's optimizing for those conversions. And then you also want to send that relevant content and promote your content across your omni-channel presences, right? So your social media, your email, your everywhere. So one of the biggest, another common mistake that I see is companies who do newsletters instead of blogging, or they will write a blog and only email it out. What is the problem with that? Emails, if I'm ashamed to show you my inbox because it's embarrassing, there's a lot of emails I'm behind on, but I also have a whole other inbox in Gmail somewhere, like 1 million unopened emails that I never plan to. Those are all my spammy sign up things. The point is that when you're sending an email, there's absolutely no guarantee that it's gonna, yes, they can open it, yes, they can click on it. Are they really gonna read it? First of all. Second of all, it's not helping your SEO, and that's really the bigger one, is that it's not helping your SEO. You spent an hour writing that blog, you sent it to your 5,000 customers, and guess what? Maybe some of them opened it, some of it didn't, but that's it. You're not getting residual value. You didn't plant the seed, you just threw it out the window, or you gave it to a bird and that bird took it and that's it, right? So you really need to be putting those, so your email campaign should be promoting your new blog. Okay? Put a little blurb, a link to it, and then send that traffic to your website. Right? Another common one that I see, a little bit unrelated, but companies that use video and send their traffic to YouTube. Don't send traffic off your site. Right? If you have videos, embed them on your site. Tease them in, or you can actually embed them in your emails now too, so they can play in the email. They embed them on your website. If you're sending your traffic to YouTube, you're going to lose your customers to cat videos, and now you just paid to have your customer lost to YouTube, right? So you always want to be sure that you're really leveraging that content and building out your website over time, adding more of that great stuff, and just doing your omni-channel social and paid ads and email to promote that website. Other big one, you may not be on Twitter and Facebook, but are your customers, right? I personally am not very big on social media, but my customers, my partners are. So I have an online profile. I kind of have to, right? So same thing for you. Just, if you aren't good with social media, hire somebody that is, because your customers are there and you should be meeting them as well. And also don't give away the farm for free. Always use that gated content. Okay. So I am gonna not speed up too much, but I do want to get through the rest of this in the next 17 minutes, and we'll open it up to Q&A. So that was the inbound marketing portion. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit more into the inbound selling side, which is really, again, about that personalized, helpful, modern sales methodology, right? So we're focusing on the pain points, we're the trusted consultants, and we really adapt our process to what our customer needs, where they are in their buyer's journey, and how we can help them make progress, right? Solving for the customer, SFTC. So we saw this a little bit in the beginning, right? So how our strangers become customers, and this doesn't even show about the promoter, right? So I'm going to have to update that. But it also goes through these important stages when we're bringing somebody along the buyer's journey from awareness to consideration to decision, and how our sales process kind of follows along that, right? So BANT is a little outdated. And that's another topic that I dive into more on the selling the way people buy webinar that we'll be doing in the future, is that it's really in understanding, how those buying behaviors have changed and how we can, stay adaptable. So when we're running a sales process, right, the key questions our buyers have, right? What's included in your offering? How much does it cost? How does it compare? Who else is using your offering? Do they like it? Can I talk to them? And this one especially, are you lying to me just to sell your products? Right? There's always going to be a little bit of an expected bias. Like, I work at HubSpot, I'm not going to be selling you Salesforce. So there is some expected bias there. However, you don't want to lie to anybody just to sell your product or service or anything, right? If you're setting expectations that you can't meet, if you're saying, yeah, we can do everything and slice bread and clean your kitchen, and then I don't slice the bread, I can even clean the kitchen. But if I don't slice the bread, I disappointed that customer, right? They had higher expectations. Now they can go leave bad reviews. They'll tell others, oh no, they will say anything to get you to buy. Don't trust them, right? One bad egg can ruin your whole reputation, right? We've seen that tons of times. Not poor, because that's really shitty that all that happened, but I grew up a big Buffy fan. So I grew up on Buffy and Angel and all those shows, and now Joss Whedon, you know, being canceled, it was one of those that it was just, you know, missetting expectations of what I thought I was going to get and what I got in the end, and it just hurt my feelings. And then I kind of hurt my taste for the whole franchise a little bit, right? So we don't want to be just saying anything to close business, because that's not going to be the long way to scale with our customers and to build that trust over time. So quickly to break down these 4 core phases. So first, the identify phase, right? This is where we're really stalking a little bit, right? Gathering as much information as you can about those individual prospects so you can better understand their situation. Show them you understand them. Make them want to come to you, right? Hey, I'm just going to be here in the background. I'm not going to bug you, but in case you are trying to solve that problem that I may have the answer to, I'm just going to be right here and I might have the answer, right? So you're there, you're listening, you're seeing what the problem is. You have your content ready to go. You're planting it, right? So you're going to leave behind, hey, you know, here's a helpful piece of content. Here's a helpful piece of content, right? But we're not trying to sell. So really the focus there is in providing that experience of helping that prospect make progress on a journey that they've already begun. And then we earn their trust over time. So the connect phase, so just because just because somebody asks for a demo doesn't mean you should be giving them a demo. That happens all the time. If I get people emailing me, I want to see a demo. Great. I can't show a demo without talking to you for at least an hour, especially now that we have 5 hubs. We just launched Operations Hub. So now that we have 5 hubs, I don't even know where to begin, let alone all the different levels, right? So if I immediately start selling, I'm going to lose the client because I'm not building the trust. I'm not getting to know them and their challenges, right? So all those ways where it's important to make sure that you're really staying on top of it and teaching them to buy from you. You want to slow it down. Like, hey, I understand you want to see a demo. We will get there. But in order for me to be able to show you the best demo I can, I need to get to know you a little bit better to make sure that I'm really hitting the most important points for you. Is it okay if I ask you some more questions? Right? So do not jump right into the demo just because they asked for it. If they don't understand, if you don't understand their problem, they probably don't understand their problem. It's too soon, right? So we want to offer instead offer content, consultations, help them to diagnose their situation and discuss possible ways they can solve their problem, both with and without you, right? You don't want to say we're the only solution for you out there, because you're probably not. We're not the only CRM platform out there, right? But I can also speak to what the differences are between HubSpot and Salesforce and Zoho and whatever, right? And I can teach you about it. And hey, if one of those is going to be a better solution, like, hey, if you need HIPAA compliance, we're not HIPAA compliant. By all means, please, Salesforce is going to be a better fit for something like that, right? I will always be the first one to tell you when we are not a good fit, because I don't want you being pissed at me. I don't want you to leave me a bad review. I don't want you telling other people not to buy from us, right? It's all going to hurt not just me, but everybody else. One bad egg can really ruin a whole franchise or a whole company, right? It really kind of sours the taste for a lot of people. So make sure that you are not just teaching your reps about it, but really building that into your values as a company, right? That our goal isn't just to always be closing. We're not just trying to close a dollar just to close a dollar. Our goal is to solve for the customer, to solve your problems. And hey, if we're the best fit, great. That's awesome. We'd be happy to have your business, but let's be sure we are, right? So once you're sure you're the best fit, then you can teach them to buy from you. Right? So the explore phase is when you're really digging into a lot of that. So this is where you're the expert, you dig deep with your buyers and get really to the crux of their problems, right? And then once you've had a mutual agreement on what those issues are, then you can begin to discuss those possible solutions and confirm, is this going to work? Isn't it going to work, right? Can we solve for your biggest challenge? Is there going to be a better fit, right? So think like a doctor diagnosing a patient, right? If I come to you and I say, my arm hurts, doctor, my arm hurts, they're not just going to give me like oxycodone, right? First, they're going to x-ray, so bend it, say, does this hurt? Does that hurt? I'm going to poke it. I'm going to try. Okay, let's try some of this, right? And then, okay, you actually need surgery, right? So that's what you really want to be sure you're doing. You do not want to prescribe the wrong thing, because prescribing the wrong thing could either mean an unhappy customer, hurt your reputation. Having that wrong prescription could be very bad in a lot of different ways. So you want to be sure that you're really sure that's the right problem, and then prescribing the best solution for it. And then the advise phase, I like to call this the advise and prescribe, right? Because this is where you're really walking through that prescription, right? Based on the challenges that we've identified, here's what I've confirmed is going to be the best solution for your needs. And then here, let me help you to sell this internally. Here's a PowerPoint deck and, value proposition. And so really teaching them to position this internally, right? How do we make a presentation for somebody that, maybe if there's a board of approvals or something else, could be a lot more. So just sending a generic thing doesn't always work unless they specifically ask for it. So while your buyers are drowning in a flood of information, just focus on really making sure that they're connecting here's your challenge, here's our solution, right? Helping them to draw those relations across the aisle there, because you know it better than they do at this point, right? You've gone through this before, they maybe haven't. So people are just throwing spaghetti at a wall, and inbound salespeople are really prioritizing the buyers that are active, that are engaged, and are already on a journey, right? Instead of using cold outreach, we're really participating in those online conversations, asking questions, answering questions, sending resources, trying to be helpful. Right? And then instead of transitioning from presentation mode, instead we're going to just keep getting to know them, keep making sure that we're on the right path before we're coming to a sale, and then it'll be a very personalized presentation. So support people, this is your chance. How and why do they want to work with you, right? So does your online strategy make it easy for your customers to engage with you, right? Again, thinking all the way back to the graphs that we went through in the beginning, right? The conversations, the support tickets, right? People aren't just calling you, they're not just emailing you, they're not just filling out forms, right? Are you giving them lots of ways to engage? How easy is it for them to get support, right? I had a situation back in early COVID where I ordered, there was paint by numbers, and I ordered 5 of them, and I still haven't done it. I thought I'd have more time. I was wrong. And so I ordered paint by numbers, and it was spent like $50 or $60 on it, and nothing. I just MIA. I placed my order, I gave you my money, and then I didn't hear anything. I opened up 2 support tickets over the next few weeks. I'm like, I didn't get shipping information. I didn't get a confirmation of my order. I didn't get anything. They just went MIA. And then I was pissed. So I called my credit card company. I'm like, hey, place this order. The product's never received. They gave me a refund. I ordered them in April. Somehow, some way, don't know why, arrived in June. Like so far, or maybe even July. It was so far beyond like what my expectation was. I was already pissed, and I already told everybody not to buy from them, right? So that was really a bad experience for not being able to get support, not getting questions. If I gave you my money, pretend like you care, right? Don't just be like, haha, we tricked her, we got it, let's go, right? And then never reply again. So don't be that person to your customers, right? Be quick on those responses as fast as possible, right? For both sales and service, right? Because if you call somebody within 5 minutes of them being on your website, you're 100 times more likely to close them. It is some ridiculous stat, but it is true. Time is money. And also, do they enjoy working with you? Because that's another thing too, that now that we're starved for human connection a little bit, right? So when we're thinking about that bit of starvation, like how can we really open up so that more people can, get to know our differentiated offerings and help, etc. So solve for your customers. Let your customers dictate how they want to engage with you. Give them every opportunity to do so. Use a variety of CTAs, right? So call us, email us, go here, click here, talk to a chatbot, whatever. Don't let your personal biases against chatbots or automation stand in the way of your customers benefiting from those tools, right? It's your job to help them solve their problems. If they would rather self-service through automation, give them the choice to do so. Don't hold them hostage just because you think that they want you to be extra personal, right? Not everyone is going to want that. Some people would rather be faster than, go through and wait 2 days to speak to an agent. When your customers win, you win. If you invest time in those relationships, it rarely was without its benefits, right? Help people, even if you go through a whole sales process and realize they're not a good fit, maybe they know somebody who is. Maybe they can give you a referral, right? Always be shelving. We want to offer helpful resources and consultations to aid our customers in solving their problems, and using the give and the get to really make sure that we're exchanging helpful content and then collecting information, but using that information for good to help them more and better, right? With more targeted content to really increase that engagement and enable them to help themselves with a knowledge base, support bots, things like that. So tips for success. First of all, strive to build a diverse team that represents all of your customers, right? If you have a diverse customer base, your employees should be just as if not even more diverse, so that you're really able to connect with people and to show that you care, right? We care about you, we want to understand you, we look like you too, right? Let every person bring their whole personalities to work. That is another really, really big one, especially like now that we're working from home. True story, in the last year, I've seen naked spouses, dog butts, cat butts, baby butts, all sorts of things in the background. Like there's not really, you can't be corporate stone-faced when life and all of its beautiful awkwardness is happening around you, right? So if you have to be the one on the phone that is, yes, thank you for calling. We would love to help you today. How can I help you, sir? Right? When you're not friendly, when you're not getting to know people, especially account managers or support people that are working with companies over years, right? Be a human. People are starved for that human interaction. Let your employees be themselves. Nobody wants to work with a corporate robot. And I still cringe every time I see like too professional of an email that isn't like, doesn't even have a single anything that's just casual, right? It's too formal. Nobody wants to be that formal anymore when we're not wearing pants half the time. I am wearing them now, but nobody wants to be that formal in this world. And in the future, really, a lot of that's changed. So be clear in your communication, set proper expectations with customers, and avoid a pileup of problems and bad reviews, right? Really get ahead of a lot of those. Ask your customers how you can help them. Get that feedback right from the source. You want to position your products and services as solutions to problems you know how to solve. Make those genuine connections, ask for referrals, and when you help them, they will be more likely to help you in return. And at the very end, invest in a CRM with integrated marketing automation to help sustain and accelerate your growth and save the sanity of your employees. Also really big. So in the next 3 minutes, I'll try to do this at the speed of light. So don't hate me for bringing this up because I hear a lot of the time that real quotes from calls. Oh, hell no, I hate CRMs. We spent X million dollars on X platform and nobody ever used it. What a waste. I'll never buy another CRM ever. There was a few weeks ago, it's like, yeah, don't even bring this up. Nobody will want to use this. We've been trying to implement it for 3 years and we're still nowhere near done. We're only 5% of this thing that we bought last year. Nobody knows what to do with it and everybody is afraid to mess with it. So a lot of those symptoms and a lot of those challenges that we're hearing are coming because those companies are a little, you know, it's the legacy CRM, the Franken systems that were built by acquisition. So today's most disruptive companies, right, are solving for the customer. They're winning on customer experience, right? And so we just talked about some of those ways that we're helping people move through this process, right? From an anonymous visitor to a prospect, to customer, to promoter, right? And so as we're moving from point A to point B, it looks linear, but in reality, it is anything but linear, right? In reality, our customers are going through this winding, crazy road where they might hit the website and fill out a form, but they're not going to engage with marketing. And then they might, you know, talk to sales and pick them up and move them through a process, but their timing might not be right to buy. How do we re-engage with them? Where do they come back? Where do they go? Right? They might live on social media versus email. Like there's no one clear journey where all these people go from, you know, anonymous to promoter and back to drive us more business. So HubSpot, we've been around for 15 years now, and BrainSell has been around for 11 of those years with us as a partner. So in the last 15 years, we hit 100,000 customers last year. We've already grown well past that. We have, you know, $1 billion in ARR. We have hundreds of thousands of calls and companies, big and small. And what we're hearing is these, you know, we've entangled a lot of this complexity of this journey and really identify these 5 core elements of what the challenges that teams are facing with in identifying their buyer experiences, and these 5 core elements that help them really run these experience engines, if you will. So just like how we need, you know, air, water to survive, our customers need content to reach people who are unaware they exist, messaging to start conversations with them, automation to streamline the process, reporting and insights to understand what's working and what isn't, and of course, the underlying layer of data to capture all of this and be able to optimize accordingly, right? So like I mentioned, there's lots of other options. There are over 12,000 vendors that can help you solve for one or a few of these other elements, but they're not gonna solve for that whole experience. So what you end up with is one of these 2 typical ways that we see. It's either gonna be a system that's built by you, right? How do you manage it end to end when you're working together? And it's really, you know, it's up to you to put it together in the end, right? So you can use these specific solutions, but you're going to be the one to really tie it together and manage that experience, right? And then there's the built by acquisition version, where you can choose to go with a software that pitches itself as a platform, but in reality, the product is really the result of an aggressive acquisition strategy. So these platforms might appear to be seamless, but behind the scenes, some features are disparate because the code bases don't talk to each other. The UI patterns are completely untied, and it's not one brand. It's just an acquisition strategy. So the cobble tax, as we call it, right? No matter what is built by you or built by acquisition, is you're going to have, you know, with data processing teams aren't aligned, your buyer experience suffers, right? Working out of multiple systems leads to poor team adoption and creates huge inefficiencies. when the market changes quickly, like it did last year, it becomes very difficult and very expensive to adapt and pivot, right? And then all these side effects end up to really having a really negative impact on revenue and ultimately the ability to grow. So HubSpot is built differently. We're crafted, not cobbled, right? It's the difference between taking a piece of wood and a piece of metal and a piece of cotton and trying to put it all together and say, this is one thing, versus taking a piece of marble and carving everything out of one piece of marble. So there are over 12,000 vendors in our universe now, but the reason why we're different is really because we put our customers at the heart of our business. We understand your specific use cases. We want to help you. So we built our platform differently. I had a lot to do with this. I did not. But I nerd out about these tools. I've worked on Salesforce and Zoho and Goldmine. I've used so many other CRMs, and this one actually, I like it. It helps me. It saves me time. So we took all those critical elements that we talked about, right? The content, the messaging, the automation, the reporting, the data, and really built this one place of customer experience management. Really, we really handcrafted them in this unified code base with the single buyer's experience at the center of it all. So because we crafted this single source of truth from the ground up, our customer gets a product that helps them improve their buyer experience with one customer record, not many, speed up team efficiencies by combining efforts into one intuitive UX, and reduce the total cost of ownership by taking strategic approach to consolidation of consumer tech or customer tech. So we're not naive. We don't think we can solve for everything. We're not going to clean your kitchen. We're not going to slice your bread. However, the way we built our system is in such a way that you can extend it in ways that your business needs to, especially now that we launched Operations Hub. The opportunities really are endless in how you're using HubSpot to really bring all of your other, your ERP, your other automation systems into one place. And so developers really love HubSpot because it's something that integrates with so many other platforms, even your own apps. You can build on our open APIs, and we have over 500 integrations and growing in our marketplace. So it really gives you that flexibility to add anything you can really dream of. So the really unique thing about HubSpot is that all of our hubs are built on this same foundation, right? So whether you purchase Marketing Hub or Service Hub, you're still getting access to the same unified code base. So putting it another way, all of our R&D dollars benefit all of our customers. So when we work on improving our content tool, for example, it benefits every hub. So it benefits CMS, of course, but you're also going to get better landing page builders and Marketing Hub and more flexible proposal templates. So you invest, and same thing, how we invest a dollar in the machine, it benefits the whole machine. Same thing with you. If you invest a dollar in this machine, it's going to benefit your whole machine, right? If you're investing a dollar in Pardot, it's only going to benefit Pardot, not Salesforce. Right? Anywhere you put in, you upgrade anyone to enterprise, you're going to open up enterprise functionality for a lot of the hubs, right? So this really gives you the way to grow in a more scalable way where the tech will keep up with you no matter what limits your company reaches. So our CRM platform really helps you to build that unified experience between your marketing, sales, and service teams. And then from here, of course, we would love to have follow-up conversations to help you identify, is HubSpot potentially going to be a good fit to help you consolidate some of your operations, really tie in your marketing, your website, your sales, your service strategy, now also your operations strategy all into one place so that you can grow better, right? Really understand what you can do, where you can drive an impact, and what's the best way to get there. So with that, I'm only 4 minutes over. It's not bad. So we'll open it up to questions. I'm going to drink some water.
Nice job, and drink some water. Thank you, Zoya. I think that all wraps it up. It is really an amazing all-in-one platform that can help drive the strategy. I don't have any questions in the questions box, but please put them in there. I'll just make a shout out to blogging. It was my job when I started here 12 years ago to be our marketing person, whatever that meant. And I had a journalism degree and still have it. So first of all, if you guys are looking to hire an inbound marketing person to help blog, look for an out-of-work journalist. They need money. This is way better paying lifeline over here than working at a newspaper or media company. But those blogs that I wrote 12 years ago still come up, and we're refreshing them. Some of them haven't been refreshed. It's kind of scary when they come up, but most all of them are refreshed and still giving us amazing lead gen. So much that we don't have an outbound strategy here. We have an inbound marketing specialist who talks to everyone who downloads something from our site. So it's a whole different way of operating, and you're going to have such a happier life because you're talking to people who have a need, because they're finding you through everything that Zoya just walked us through. So it's just such an enlightening, that's an enlightening presentation. Thank you for the data, the steps, and some of the stories, Zoya. Like I just, this makes so much sense the way that you laid it out.
Well, I'm glad, and I hope everybody walked away with at least one piece of advice or one tip. And like I said, this is the first one in a series, so we're going to have specific tracks for marketing, for sales professionals, for service, for operations down the line when we get there. So just anywhere that we can help you alleviate some of that tension, that friction that you may be feeling, just let us know, and we'll see what we can do. And that's where, reach out to Sonia, book calls with us, and then we'll see. We'll give you that audit of your company to really help you understand where those friction points are and where we may be able to help.
Yep, we've been there and done that. So thank you everyone for joining this webinar. Our team will be reaching out, seeing if you have questions, and maybe we can analyze your current inbound strategy and see if we can help. And also, you got to join the other webinars. I just think it's going to be a really valuable series. So thank you so much, Zoya, for running through all of this, and to our marketing team. It's been a great 90 minutes, so thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.